Welcome to the DIY Writer Show with the mild-mannered, slightly heroic host, Jeff Bacon.
It's Jeff Bacon with the DIY Writer Podcast. Today, many of you might be looking at the video and thinking, this is Wonder Woman, isn't it? Well, she's damn close, if not better. In front of me today is C.L. Cannon. And if you don't know who she is, obviously you haven't been paying attention to anything on Facebook or anything in the writing community. She is a USA Today Bestselling Author. She's got a ton of books out there. She's a publisher. She's a publicist. She's an editor. She's a designer. And she also has tons of builders out there for your social media, for your email list and everything else. She has, I don't know how many companies she has. I know she has her writing company, and she also has Fiction Atlas, where all the builders are ran through. Plus she has a publishing company that I can't remember the name of. But anyway, I'd like to introduce Wonder Woman. C.L. Cannon. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So what does your normal day look like? So you sleep between what, like 1 and 3, so you get your mandatory 2 hours in, and then you just take off for the rest of the day?
Well,
you do all
really,
this, you got kids, you got a family. You don't sleep, do you? Ever?
It's like from 5 in the morning to like 7, because my youngest child, he just turned 6, but you would think he's probably like still like an infant that has to like stay up at night. He can run on like 2 hours of sleep. So you can put him to bed at like 9 o'clock. And then by 11, he's ready to go. So,
oh joy.
So we have all kinds of we have a very nocturnal sort of sleep pattern. And I'm lucky because my husband stays home too. So me and him, we kind of do shifts with the children.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't sleep probably as much as I should, but I do get a lot of stuff done. They're homeschooled right now because of the pandemic. So We're doing that. And I do my builders. I've got my company. Fiction Atlas Press is my publishing company, but I do a lot of things under that name, like the builders. And we've got we want to do a book box next year. We've been planning and trying to do some like subscription boxes. We are doing a newsletter ad service that we just started, and we're in beta right now. So it's free to be, we're calling it Bookshot right now. And we're doing it on Facebook and on Twitter. And then we've got the newsletter people, kind of coming in, and we're trying to build that up. And I do the builders during the day. I do editing for people. I do one-on-one marketing with fantasy and sci-fi authors. And then sometimes I write. It's more of a hobby, even though I like writing. I just don't get to do it as much as I would like to. But
well, it honestly, with everything that you've got going on, I don't know how you find the time. I think I have a lot of stuff going on. Then I look at what you're doing. It's like, nope, I'm just a lazy shit. That's fine.
No.
One
I have a
of
problem
the things,
saying no.
Can't say no. Well, that's a problem too. But one of the things that always kind of interests me, in the way I kind of got introduced to you was, I was actually complaining in I don't know if you want to call it complaining, but I was in a group with a bunch of authors, and I'm like, okay, I've got like 30 people on my mailing list. I'm just starting out. How the hell do you build this up? And everybody said, well, we need to introduce you to C.L. Cannon. And here's the link, and here you go, and and she has a builder going right now. And it's like, oh, cool. And it was probably the most painless process, and it's cheap. I'm not going to try and, because it would be kind of not good for my part if you made it really expensive, but it is an entry level price that anybody can freaking afford. It's like $25-30, and you end up, you're part of this builder, and you end up getting, 500-600 email addresses that are usually pretty decent. People that actually, will open up, they're interested in books and reading. So to talk a little bit about that, just because I think the kids at home, especially some of the newbie authors that might be, kind of, looking at being an author and all the stuff that you have to do, There
Mhm.
are some things out there to help you, and Courtney here has been helping authors for a long time, and everybody says if you need that, go to Courtney. So Courtney, take it away.
Actually, I'm gonna pause for 1 second because my laptop's at like 4%, even though I plugged it up last night. So let me get my the chargy thing 1 second. Sorry.
Yes, I'll just pause it. That's cool.
Oh, good.
We're starting. So we're coming back from our pause.
Okay.
Courtney has her chargy thing.
Yes, the chargy thing. Very technical word for it.
The technical word, and we'll just kind of pick up on the newsletter builders that you do.
Okay, so one thing I like to tell people what's different about my newsletter builders to like a lot of companies out there is we generally do actual books in our newsletter builders. A lot of companies will do things like $500 gift cards or things that are not targeted specifically to readers. And that's one of the reasons that some of those, I mean, they might get like thousands and thousands and thousands of people in theirs, bigger subscriber lists, but it tends to be a lot more like freebie seekers and what people call sweepers
Yeah.
and people who are not interested in reading your book. So what we do is we genre target. So like, for instance, if we're doing urban fantasy, we're going to do some Jim Butcher books and maybe Shannon McGuire or Kevin Hearn or somebody that's a big name in that genre. Because other people ask me, why don't you do indie books? And we tried it with indie books when we first started out. A lot of people were, just sending an ebook in as a way, and it was cheaper that way. They just send an ebook in, and we gave all the ebooks at the end to the winner, and that helps sometimes, but we were not bringing in, but maybe 100 to 150 people, and all the time they weren't really engaging with any of our authors. So I decided, well, I had heard a lot of stuff about comparable authors. And when, like, if you're a traditional author, you're trying to query, you're going to query to your agent, and they're going to want to know what your comparables are. And that would be authors that write in your genre that you could say your story is like. Like, if you like Game of Thrones, you'll love this new epic fantasy adventure. So that's kind of one of the things that we try to do. We, like you said, we try to make it affordable for everybody. Some builder places want you to spend like $100 or sometimes more than that to add socials on and stuff. So I know that I couldn't, especially a few years ago when I first started out, I could not afford $100 builders. And I'd even tried some $100 builders when I saved my money up and had a coupon or something like that, and it was like $80. And I would get a whole bunch of emails. And what I do when I do my own newsletter is I segment where I get my people from. So like if I got people from this company for this themed builder, I will make that a group inside of MailerLite, so I can see just how the engagement goes. Like, are they opening? Are they clicking? How many are unsubscribing from it? So I had a list that was somewhere around, I think, 3,000 that I got from that. And after a year later, there were 156 people left in it. And my click rate was less than 1%. And my open rate was somewhere around 3%. But then I go and I also do the same thing when I import people from ours. And ours, on mine, we have less people in there. So of course the click rate and the open rate are going to be a little bit better, but we're getting like 40 and 50% with 10 and 20, percent open rates. So you can just see the difference kind of there. And so that's why I decided, I know not everybody can afford these exorbitant fees, and I wanted to make sure that people are getting stuff for a price that they could afford, and also that it would be quality, because it's hard especially when you're first starting out as an author, to know what you're supposed to be doing, know how to speak to people and how to navigate all this new stuff, because it's not as easy as just writing the book. Marketing is really hard. It changes every single day. There's something new to learn every day. Some things that worked yesterday won't work today or tomorrow. So I just wanted it to be something easy for people. So all they got to do is find a builder that I'm running that they like, that would, that they write that genre in or whatever, and join it. You just fill out the form, pay the PayPal money. It's like $25 for most stuff. And then you just wait. And sometimes you got to wait a little while, because especially lately, we've been with people not having as much money and stuff in COVID,
Mm-hmm.
we've been a little bit slower, but we do still, get results, and we get enough people, because we have to have enough people to support, our time and the prizes, buying the prizes that we buy and
Yep.
stuff. But we get results, and all you gotta do is wait for that email that says, hey, this builder is live. Will you share it in your newsletter, share it on social media? Here's a handy dandy graphic for you. So we try to make it easy. I hope it's helping people. I've had a lot of people say that it's helping. So
I don't know. I've talked to quite a few authors even before I had the podcast, and they would ask me the question, well, how'd you get your mailing list this big? And it's really funny, because when you hit about, well, let's say 1,500 people, that's about where it happened for me. All of a sudden something happens to where I started getting people going to my website. I started getting more traffic on my social media, and then I started getting more subscriptions. Just I mean, nothing from a builder or anything, but it just started happening to where, all of a sudden, one week I get, 10, 15 subscriptions, and it's like, cool. And those people are really engaged. But the people that I got from your list, I would say probably 70% of them are still with me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, nice thing about it is in MailerLite or MailChimp, you can go in and you can see, if you segment them right, what your open rates are and who's opened and whatever. And sometimes you get the person that, opens the first one and then opens one every couple months or whatever. And sometimes you have your people that are opening every single email you ever send, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But and then you get some people that unsubscribe, and that happens. But on the other hand, it is the simplest, cheapest, best way. And the format that you give it in is awesome, because it just, you just upload it right into your whatever you're using for your newsletter. And I've never had a problem with it at all.
Yeah.
Never,
We've actually started recently putting them also through a validator too. So we're making sure we're getting more quality, that they're going to be deliverable and stuff like that. So I've started actually paying for that for every list, so I can make sure you guys have got the best quality possible of the,
I everybody that I've said, hey, you need to go here and do this, and they've come back with very nice results. Everybody, I'm not even shy about saying you need to go see Courtney's stuff, because it really does work well. And if you're brand new starting out, and your fiction, fantasy, your sister does the romance ones, if I'm not mistaken, honestly, it's probably the best way to start, and it's the cheapest start that I can find. I can tell you, I did $150 one just because I wanted to try one. And same thing that you're saying, I think I retained about 15%.
Yeah,
because as soon as I get that first email, like unsubscribe, it's like, holy crap, so it was completely not worth the money. So I mean, what you're doing is working.
Good. I'm glad. I always love hearing things like that, because that's, as an author, that's kind of one of the things I want to treat you guys like I would want to be treated in a situation. And I know how hard it is, especially when you're first starting out, just trying to find the funds for stuff and trying to just figure out what in the hell you're supposed to be doing.
Well, and that's the other thing, is when people have problems, they'll post it on the Facebook page or, underneath the post where they actually did it. And I don't ever remember you not personally responding to them in a very timely fashion. I mean, it's not days, it's like hours,
I try to get on there and, make sure that I do. And sometimes the notifications will go wonky on Facebook and you don't see it, but I try to make sure I check every day.
I think you do a damn good job. I don't know, with everything else that you do. Again, Wonder Woman, how you doing?
Thank you.
No sleep, no nothing. CL Cannon's just on it 24 hours a day.
Oh Lord.
It does. I'm not BSing him. Like I said, we honestly, there was a discussion someplace where we thought you weren't a real person. You're just an AI.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. There was that discussion. And of course it's amongst authors, and we were drinking. So it's like, okay, let's flow with this. Courtney Cannon is not real. It's just an artificial intelligence out there helping us. That's great. Who created her?
good programming, whoever that was.
Yeah. So that's why I really wanted to get you on here is you're real, right?
I am real.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm real.
Oh, whew.
I am glad that I got my sister into doing the romance, because romance is not really my thing. I'm like, to each their own, but it's just not really something that I'm good at. I could market it, but I like to build my audience, what I've built around my own author profiles around fantasy and sci-fi and YA, because that's what I write.
Right.
And so she was actually pregnant at the time, and she was, working long hours and stuff. And I was like, you're over here killing yourself. You're not making very much money. You're not, it's not worth all this, because she's pretty high risk anyway. And so we got her into doing that, and now she gets to work from home and she has to take care of her kid. And it's nice to be able to have that kind of security. And we're always trying to think up new things. And it's cool because, like, my sister's my best friend pretty much. So we kind of just bounce ideas off of each other. We go to my dad's every Friday. So at every Friday, we're like, how are your builders doing? How are your builders doing? What are we going to do next? So it's like a brainstorming kind of thing.
But there's a little bit of competition there.
Kind of a little, maybe a little bit, mostly just trying to kind of help each other,
Oh.
because she's my baby sister. So I have to take care of her. There's 3 of us, and we're all 10 years apart. So I'm the
Okay.
oldest and she's the middle child. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's interesting.
my brother's just 14. So
Oh,
yeah.
cool. We have one of those crazy families too. I have a 30-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 7-month-old.
Wow, that is a lot of difference.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun though, because like some of it's just a different dynamic that a lot of people don't get to experience. So
yeah. Trying to think at this particular time in my life if I would call it fun or not.
maybe later on.
Get back, yeah, in reflection when you forget all of the pains of whatever it is you're going through.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that was fun. I can't let that come out of my mouth right this second. But that's all right.
I understand. I totally
You understand. So, you actually do publishing for authors too.
I do, but sorry, one second.
No,
Guys, stay in there, please. they're trying to like run around. I do publishing, but mostly just in anthologies right now, because what I find with all the other stuff that I have to do, I want to be able to devote enough time to market and to do, the editing and cover design and all that stuff right. And I just don't feel like I would have the time to take on solo authors at the moment, even though that's what I originally wanted to do. But I just don't think it'd be fair to them, or, to put more pressure on me and my family and stuff. So for now, we just do the 2 anthologies, and it's been working out pretty good. We're doing, I think this next anthology we got is our 7th one that we've done. So 2 a year usually burns me out just enough.
Well, you've got an anthology coming out like really quick, don't you?
November 30th. Yeah.
November 30th. And that's for a charity.
Yes, it's a vampire anthology. It's called Bloodsport, and it's 99 cents right now. And it's all the proceeds from both the ebook and the print copies are going to go to the International Red Cross, because we thought vampires and blood. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So every story's got a vampire component to it.
Yes, everyone. And we try to make it all different genres. I don't like, a lot of people kind of try to make anthologies into one certain genre, and I still try to keep it in the fantasy and sci-fi aspects, but subgenres, you can just go wild. I just kind of like getting a good mix of everything. So we've got some that are like epic fantasy, we've got some historical fantasy, we've got some paranormal romance, we've got more that are horror. So it's kind of a good mix. So a lot of any kind of vampire fan can find a story that they like. So
as long as they don't sparkle in the sun, I'm okay with it.
None of those. No, that was one of the rules. No sparkling.
Sparkly vampires are bad.
Yes.
I'm
Even though I read those books when I was a teenager, but I regret it now. So
that's one of those ones I just couldn't. I love all things horror, vampires, dark fantasy. I love that stuff, and that's one of those books where I'm like, eh. And then the movies came out, and it's like,
the movies wrecked it all for me. So I just kind of like, whoa, what was I reading? No. So
yeah,
after that.
I'm having a really hard time accepting that the glittery vampire is now going to be Batman. And it's just like, oh.
He does some pretty good work when he's not on Twilight, so
And I'm
hopefully it'll be good.
sure he does, but I can't get that,
Yeah, it's kind of like
spark.
typecast, kind of like
Yeah.
always in there.
It's okay if you need to talk. If you need to talk
Okay.
or something.
They're
Yeah,
like trying to come out of the room. I was like, stay in there.
get in there.
They've got doors now, so I don't know why they're not using them. Any other time they're like locking them and stuff. So my littlest one has just been going back and forth because we just, for context, we just got 1, 2, 3, 4 doors installed, a front door and all of their interior doors.
Mm-hmm.
So now they've got doors that work really well and lock. And so my littlest one is 6 and he just goes around locking all the doors. So we're waiting for that time when we're gonna have to take the doorknob off or something.
Oh, that boy.
He's my mischievous daredevil little boy. I thought, like, when I had my first one, I was like, oh man, parenting is hard. And then I had my second one, I was like, my first child's an angel. Oh.
I've got a 3-year-old that figured out how to lock the patio door.
Oh no.
So we'll be outside on the patio or on the deck or whatever. And I have to go to the bathroom, and she'll close the door and she'll just lock it, And then when she gets done, she comes out and she just stands at the door, and you're like, open the door, unlock it. And she looks at you like, yeah, I'm not going to do that for you, And then about the time that you're walking around the house to get in through the garage, she unlocks it for her mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually the way it works.
Yeah. She doesn't understand the consequences on her allowance that has.
At least you give her an allowance. See,
she's 3, so she doesn't have it. So, I do a banking system. So, when she's 10 and she says, I need $5, or it'll probably be $40 by then. And, it's like, do you remember when you locked the door on me, but unlocked it for your mother? Yeah.
Now you have to pay.
Now you have to pay. Yep. So anyway, raising children's tough.
I will agree.
It really is, especially when they're a jerk, just like their parent is. So I'm like, oh my God. Because I would totally do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done that to my wife. Just locked the door and just sat there and smiled at her. She takes great pleasure in how frustrated I get. So you're also a publicist. So you'll take an author and you help them with the marketing aspect of things.
Yes. Mostly fantasy and sci-fi, and I also do YA because those, again, I've built my own author platform around those genres because that's what I write, and that's what I know those markets intimately because I've studied them and I studied the marketing trends and changes in them. So I can feel like that's who I can best help. I will help book them on shows like this one. I help. Let's see, what else do I do? I've done podcasts. I've done interviews on blogs. We've done radio, but it's not done quite as well because nobody really listens to radio anymore. It's all podcasts. And I try to encourage them to get out of their shell and kind of do this because I do think this sort of face-to-face marketing and getting out there and letting people know you is the best way to make more sales and to connect with people, because ultimately marketing is just connecting with other people in a genuine way, because once they know you and know what you're like, that I don't know, they form an opinion about you. They have to see you a couple of times before you really stick in their brain, and they're like, oh yeah, maybe I'll want to try that author. So and then I do like things like advertising for them in Facebook groups and on all my social media platforms, and I do giveaways for them. Giveaways is like my thing. I'm the giveaway queen. Sometimes people call me that because I have a giveaway for everything, but it works. So I just keep doing it. I kind of leverage that because a lot of people ask me about using like AMS ads and Facebook ads and stuff like that. And I don't really use those that much because I've been able to leverage all of my giveaways to help me share everything that I've got. So,
so you for yourself, are you strictly strictly like newsletters and those types of contents, or do you do advertising for your own stuff?
For my own stuff, I just use my giveaways.
Yeah.
if I have like something coming out, I'll put it in as a share option in one of my giveaways, and all of the people enter my giveaways, because we have thousands and thousands of people.
Mhm.
My website this year has gotten over 7 million hits. So
Wow.
we've got people coming in and out, and they're sharing, everything.
Mhm.
And I also have a street team, which is my Facebook group. It's got about 2,000 people in there right now. And so if I need them to share something for me, I just ask them. Or I do we do Wednesdays, we do a win. It's called Wednesdays. It's like a hashtag day. And, they'll share something for me and gets entered to win like a $5 gift card or an ebook or something that's pretty
Yeah.
cheap. It's a lot cheaper than going and doing Facebook ads, or especially AMS ads and things like that. Now, I encourage other authors to do those things because they don't have the network that I do. But I do think that it's helped me save a lot of money and, get spread around a lot more. Because the more backlinks that you have out there, especially, the more you can um, kind of spread out through the entire community and get your
Right.
stuff out there.
So are you exclusive on Amazon with your stuff, or are
No,
you wide?
I am wide. I am on Apple, which I just started. I just figured out how to get on Apple because I like to do things. I don't like to do like Draft to Digital or Publish Drive or anything. I like to actually be on the platforms myself, so they're not taking any of my royalties.
Sure.
And so I'm on Google Play and Apple and Kobo and Nook, and I think that's it.
Okay.
But I've got my account on all those, and I've got my MacBooks, and I got Vellum so I can format everything a couple years ago. And so I was like, I'm going to get on Apple. I'm going to figure it out myself. It took me a little while, but it's a lot more complicated than it needs to be. But
That doesn't surprise me.
no.
Um, I think dealing with Apple in general is just tough.
Yeah.
Um,
They make you go through hoops for things that should just be easy. And Google Play is kind of the same too.
yeah, like for this podcast, getting on Apple was a
Mhm.
pain in the ass. It really was, but not as much of a pain in the ass as getting on iHeart. That one was. That one, I think I had to pull a couple of congressional favors back in to, actually get that to work. But yeah, Apple was not easy to get on, and do these weird quality checks or something. I'm not sure what exactly they do, but I had to change like 3 things.
Like sound quality and stuff. Yeah.
No, it had nothing to do with sound quality. It had
Really?
everything to do with tags.
Wow. Like metadata stuff. Yeah.
And just like, I don't even know why I put this in there, but okay, whatever. And they're the only ones that use tags.
Yeah.
From what I understand. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but it was just, I kept on getting dinged, and it's like, okay, sure, I'll add this. Why didn't you tell me that last time? And 5 weeks later, yay, we're on Apple. But that most people that I talk to that are wide usually go through a Publish Drive or a Draft to Digital, just because some of those
It's easier.
platforms are really kind of a pain in the butt. But they also say that then you get into lots of the really small indie shops that those little bookshops online and stuff like that you don't know about, which is it, and that's kind of cool too. But
that might be something to check out. I hadn't really thought about that aspect of it. And a lot of people use Ingram Spark for their ebooks also to distribute and get into smaller shops. And I haven't tried that. I use them for print books, but I haven't tried that aspect of it yet. So
okay,
it's always something new.
I'd like to preface this with I love Ingram Spark for paperbacks.
Yes, they are so much better than KDP.
I haven't tried them for ebooks, but everybody that I've talked to aren't real thrilled with how they handle that. I don't know why, but and maybe I just haven't talked to the right people. This industry is full of experts of people that have done things and been really successful, and I've never ran into anybody that said Ingram is the place to be for ebooks.
Yeah.
They always say go to Barnes and Noble, go to Amazon, get on Apple and Google and Kobo.
Yeah.
And then Smashwords, I think, and then King. Is it King Sumo? No, King Sumo's a giveaway. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's some other spot, but and then let Publish Drive do everybody else, or whoever. Draft to
Yeah.
Digital, but
Draft Digital just came out with a royalty split thing. I saw yesterday. That's a new feature. So if you do
Oh.
like group collaborations and stuff, I'm not going to personally use it because I already handle all that stuff and I've been doing it for years.
yeah.
And again, it cuts into your royalties. But for people that are trying to do their own anthology or something, or that have
Well,
a co-author, it's pretty awesome. So
they had to, because Publish Drive did it.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Publish Drive did it. So, and then that was, they took a lot of people away because they made it really easy for you to have co-authors, and actually they'll do all the accounting for you, and they got all the reports and the splits, and all you have to do is put in who the author is and what their split is.
That's awesome.
You know, so
I
I
wish
mean,
Amazon would just do that, naturally inside of KDP. That would be a lot easier.
oh, Courtney, Amazon doesn't care.
Oh, I know. They don't care about us at
They
all.
don't care about us. They only make money off of our backs,
Yeah.
off of
I
our
will agree
sweat
with
and
this.
tears and blood. It's funny because I was doing a podcast earlier with Jennifer Ann Gordon, and we're both complaining because she's got a new book coming out today, and she's watched. Of course, you sit there and you're watching Amazon for an update, and they never update their shit.
Yeah.
You
It's always when you have a release.
yeah, and it takes us a while to filter through and everything else, and my comment is, it's really funny that it takes them a while to filter through as far as the sales information and all that kind of stuff goes, and they may update you on your Kindle, on your page reads or your sales or whatever, when they freaking feel like it. But damn it, you know what, the second your budget on an AMS ad runs out of money, you got 6 emails in there saying, have you considered raising your budget?
Yeah. Or like a pre-order, like you get I don't know how many emails before your pre-order to upload your pre-order. I'm like, I know, I've been watching that clock, and one time I submitted it like 2 minutes before it was in there and I got in, but I eventually always get it in there, so leave me alone.
Yeah, they're really good on certain things, like reminding you when you owe them money, or trying to make more money off of you. And then when it comes to your money coming back to you, they're like, hey, I'll pay you in 60, 90 days, and we may tell you what you got and we may not. And I hate the KU reports.
I am not in there, thank God. I haven't been in KU in a while, but I've heard a lot of nightmares about it. So
you get the email and you're not even sure for what month it is, but they tell you what the current KU pool is.
Yeah.
And then you get kind of a report from every country that you sold a book in, of what your KU reads were, and this is what your commissions might be, but they still might change. And then you get a report that tells you how much you're going to get paid for every country. You have to actually go into the portal to see, what that total will be, or whatever. And then, this will be coming out in 60 days. Oh, well, that's nice. Thank you.
By that time you're like, you've forgotten about it almost.
Exactly. So, when I go in to buy my daughter a Frozen doll, I really want to pay them in 60 days, but they don't really do that.
It just doesn't work that way in the rest of the world for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it'd be a really good idea. I suggested it, and they, can I pay you the same way you pay me? I never got a response. They do some things really well, and I don't want to totally bash on the Almighty Zahn, but I tell you, as recently, as they changed the author central interface, and they've done a couple other things, it's like, going wide looks really good right now. Some people say, oh, it's just such a pain in the butt, and it's like, but, and then you proceed to complain about Amazon and all the stupid shit they're doing. So
it's like you have to be on Amazon though, or you just don't get. I mean, that's where most people's sales come from. So
it's the KU thing that I'm starting to have more and more of a problem with.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I've been kind of playing with is, I can bump my book up, in the overall Kindle store pretty quick with ads. I mean, it just right up. And then as soon as I quit, it kind of then all of a sudden it falls off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, so this is really becoming a pay to play type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just, and I get it, but you have to get in front of some new readers, and your mailing list, if it stays stagnant, then you're going to be doing AMS, or you're going to be doing Facebook ads,
Right.
or something.
Or spending all your time trying to find new people on new platforms and stuff like that. So either way, it's costing you either time or money. So
absolutely. Whereas somebody could hire you and just have it done for them.
yes, exactly.
Did you like that?
Yes. So
you're wondering what to say next, aren't you?
Yeah, I like I said, I'm terrible at this. I'm good at like asking other people questions because I do interviews sometimes for that. I used to do those, and I do my weekly. I could talk about that. I do weekly stuff for Joe Compton over at Go Indie Now. I do the Indie Connection.
Okay.
And that is like a YouTube. I also post on my YouTube when I remember. So like sometimes like my YouTube people, like I've got them all because I do them every week, but I don't upload them to my YouTube until after I've got a few. So sometimes I'm uploading like 20 and 30 videos at a time on YouTube. And my subscribers are like, whoa.
Stop.
But the Indie Connection is where I take a traditionally published book and in any genre. And then I find 4 books that are similar to it that are published by indies. And so I kind of try to highlight the indies. And I've been doing that for about 2 years, and it always goes on to Go Indie Now first. And then like a few months later, I hit all my subscribers with them and, post them on social media and stuff. And a lot of people have liked that. And I like it because I find a lot of different books that maybe I wouldn't have read before. I usually try to take it from my actual books that I have. I've got about, I want to say like 1,000 probably hardback books.
Really?
So yeah, really. My house is kind of a messy right now, but because we just took the air conditioning out. Let me see if I can let you see some of those bookshelves.
Wow.
Yeah. So and Bob's back there. I don't know if you probably saw like cameos of him like all the time. My husband has got this exercise crap back there. But
Bob is cool. If anybody doesn't know what Bob is, Bob's a punching bag. What's that?
When he's not in the living room, he's cool. But
yeah. I don't know where else you put Bob. Bob's got to be in the living room. Otherwise, he gets lonely.
We decorate that thing and everything. Like for Christmas, we put like a Santa hat on him. He's been a cowboy. At Halloween, he was Jason. So, yeah. So we have fun with him, even though he's kind of a nuisance.
Well, once you fill him up with sand, he's kind of an obstacle to move.
Yeah. We're hoping, like, we're trying to move into a bigger house, so hopefully my husband will have his home gym kind of thing going on. He can live down there then.
Yeah. Will Bob get lonely?
Maybe. We'll come down there and decorate him still, probably.
We'll still decorate him. That's cool.
Yeah.
Bring him out for holiday parties and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could actually attach arms to him and have him be a server.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Don't give me ideas.
Okay, I won't give you any more ideas.
My husband's usually the one that comes up with some of the crazy stuff he's into. I think he's been a king. There's all kinds of weird stuff. We're weird people. So.
We're authors. We have to be weird.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Otherwise, no one would like us.
And how will we come up with all this weird crap to put in our books for other people to enjoy?
It's a mental defect. I can't explain it any other way. Yeah. Whether I'm talking to somebody who's writing fantasy or somebody's doing, straight sci-fi, or horror writers, I think are the funniest, because then you automatically have to ask them, what's your Google search history look like? And,
how many times has the FBI knocked on your door?
Yeah, right. And that's kind of the running joke, is that I am going to be arrested at some point in time. I think every episode has the I'm going to be arrested for my Google search history at some point in time.
Yeah. And
then you ask them, well, what does that look like? And then you hear, skin peeling and, what's your worst search? And just, Jennifer was just telling me about how many stones can you put in somebody's stomach?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's like, okay, that's good. That's good.
That's good information to know.
Yeah. And if you're going to fill somebody's lungs up with rocks, how many would fit in a normal man's heart or lungs? And it's like, yeah, I don't know how anybody can think we're weird. Seems like a perfectly honest thing to look for. And your hope is that nobody's watching you, because, if that actually happens and they dig somebody out of a pond with a bunch of rocks in their lungs, they're like, hi, we need to talk to you.
That just happened in my book. I'm sorry. I don't know anything about it.
I have no idea. Yeah. Try proving that. Try proving that. What about your design services? So,
I started out, my whole service started out doing cover design and editing, and I kind of evolved everything else around that. Cover design for me, I don't really do that much anymore, mostly because the market has shifted. I used to do photo manipulation, and as you might have noticed, a lot of especially fantasy has gone to 3D renders with overpainting, like digital painting and stuff like that. And I don't have that skill yet. I will probably eventually teach myself, probably right around the time that it goes out of fashion.
In your spare time?
I do try to teach myself at least one skill each year, which is how I've kind of acquired all this stuff.
Yeah.
But, right now I haven't had the time, and I do a lot better with just doing designs, like other kinds of design, designing bookmarks and designing signing banners. Andy Peliquin, I've designed all of his signing banners and his bookmarks and his business card. Let's see, I do what they call download cards that you can get to go to conventions with, which is not really that great right now because nobody can go to conventions, but all the stuff that you would usually have for a convention, I can make those. I make BookBub ads and Facebook ads and any kind of ad that you need, banners. I do website design also, so I can do like web banners and things like that. Any kind of design service, really. I can make animated GIFs, I can make animated covers, I can make animated ads, video trailers. I do some work in Adobe After Effects, so I can do like pre-rendered stuff usually in there. I'm not like the best at it. I just kind of started learning it. But I can, make the text look pretty. I used to do video editing years and years ago. It used to be fan videos, and then I kind of turned it into doing book trailers for people. So I do that. Basically anything like that.
That's got to be a tough business to be in, because it doesn't matter who I was talking to, but somebody got a pretty darn good cover off of Fiverr for like $30.
Yeah, there's some good people on there. I've actually gotten a couple of them from, I think, German Creative. She does some really good work.
Yeah, she does.
And I think it was like $30 for one of our anthologies. And especially if it's a charity anthology, that saves me money. So sometimes if I know that they're a good designer and reliable, I will go to Fiverr, or I like to, try to shop cheap pre-mades and stuff like that, because when I do my anthologies, I don't take any money as a publisher at all. And people probably think that's probably a bad business sort of sense, but again, it kind of goes back to the whole doing cheap builders and stuff. I kind of want to keep the authors making a little bit of money. And so I always write a story in every one of the anthologies. So I just take an author cut. So if there's 10 authors, I take 1/10 of whatever the royalties are. And so all the marketing and the cover and stuff usually falls mostly on me. And
the one thing that I don't think, I certainly didn't understand it when I first started out, is that, if you and I write in the same genre, we're not in competition.
Oh yeah.
We're more of a community, and we're trying to help people out. And the stronger that entire community is, and it's kind of the basis for this podcast, the better off we all are.
Exactly.
The more people we get reading shit and actually enjoying books, and then enjoying the genre, and then finding the people that they love to read, the authors that they love to read, the stronger the entire community is. The more money we can get into the indie book market, the way better off we all are. And I don't care if it's science fiction, epic fantasy, dark fantasy, horror, nonfiction's probably its own little thing. But again, everybody's trying to improve. So, you may have somebody who's just diehard into fantasy that, wants to pick up a fitness book or something like that. So I guess that's wrong too. But I think the indie market is going to be the predominant market for books. And
Yeah,
I think the
it's
stronger we can make that, the better off we are.
I 100% agree with that because that's one thing. A lot of people, they try to see other authors as competition, but when you work together, as another aspect of our builders, we cross promote with all the authors. All the authors share in their newsletter. That's cross promoting all your readers, and new readers are finding each other because you cooperated basically with another author, and so you're kind of like sharing a reader pool and
Right.
helping expand that person's knowledge of other indie authors. That's one of the reasons I do the Indie Connection, because there's so many indie authors that nobody might know about because maybe they don't have a marketing budget, or they might not have the best cover, but they've got a great story.
Yeah.
And everybody has to start somewhere, so I like to especially kind of cheer on the underdogs to make sure that they get some publicity and some time out there.
Well, and you kind of bring up a good point about like the covers and the budgets and everything else. There are lots of do's and don'ts, and there's lots of people out there who get up on a pulpit and they preach, your cover has to be $1,000 cover, and it has to be this, and it has to be that, and in your book blurb, this, that, and the other thing. But you can just publish.
You can, yeah.
You can just publish and see how it goes. I mean, you don't have to have an entry of, a $5,000 budget for every book. I mean, you can just go out there and try it. And that's the beautiful thing about indie writing, or being an indie author. And that's actually something that we all owe Amazon a debt of gratitude for, because they're the ones that really kind of kicked it off and made it easy. But on the other hand, an indie book, if you go to a publisher has rules and boxes that you have to be in order for them to pick it up. Like if you go to Penguin or whatever, this is what this book has to be. And if there's anything that's outside of that box, they really don't want it, especially if it's fiction, because they don't think it's going to sell. But as an indie author, you can flirt with every damn genre out there and create something that is just completely awesome, takes off. And you did it as an indie publisher, and you're making more money than if you would have actually got a publisher to pick that up. And I think the publishing industry has made a ton of mistakes by passing up books that they totally missed on, because, and they just, the people just said, fine, I'll just indie publish this. And it's, either creates a new genre, or it's so unique because it like I said, it flirts with so many different genres that it's just like it's a must read, and all of a sudden you see them shooting up the charts.
Yeah, and like you said, if it doesn't fit in that box, they don't want it. And a lot of people have asked me, and I've saw a lot of other authors ask, would you ever go traditional? And for me, I wouldn't, because like you make more money as an indie author in most cases, unless like if a big five came up to me and like, I want to make you the next I don't know, Suzanne Collins or, something like that, then maybe I'd be tempted. We're going to, give you like $1 million advance. I'd be like, yeah, sure. But, for most cases, most traditionally published, I just don't feel like I like to have control. I'm a control freak. I like to have control over everything, especially my cover. I'm really picky about my cover. And so, and my editing, I want to make sure, it's a quality book and stuff. So, even as an editor, I make mistakes. So I can't edit my own work. But I want to have that control, and being indie published that gives me all the choices. I can format it the way I want it. I can I can put chapter headings in it with like little flourishes, whatever I want to do. It is my choice. And so I really think that I would never go traditional, like I said, unless they gave me like $1 million advance or something.
We can all be bought.
Yes,
there is a price tag. Just saying, anybody out there listening, there is a price tag. You just have to meet it.
I mean, I would take 100,000 maybe.
I don't know. Something a little north of there might be all right, but who knows?
Yeah.
The one thing that you mentioned, being a control freak and wanting control of that. That's the thing that like with for me, with my books, for the podcast, for everything, it's like I just want to do what I want to do, and that's the freedom you get by being an indie author. You really do. But I think I've seen this happen in a lot of groups where some indie author has got it in their mind that they have to be just like the publishers, and so they lock themselves in these little boxes that I think extinguishes some of their creativity. And you
Yeah.
kind of see that happen. Okay, this book is just like every other book in the genre, and da 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 da. And it's really the people that come out with something unique that really blow it up.
Hmm.
In my opinion, I don't know. I think that's that's kind of what I look for. I look for something new, even if it's an old story. If it's a retelling of a fairy tale or something like that, okay, but you just said it in this, and you can kind of tell when you're reading a book that, oh, okay, this is Cinderella,
Yeah.
or whatever. Just put in a different fashion with different characters or whatever. That is really cool.
uh, Retellings are like one of my favorite things. I write them and I like them a lot. I've got a whole shelf full of retellings probably over there. I think that whole bottom shelf is retellings. I'm a big fan of YA books, and they do a lot of retellings. So,
Yeah.
um, but I do like that. I think that's that's good advice. To something that it has to stick out a little more. It can't be, a lot of people write to market and they pump out like a million books, and I'm really slow. I'm like the George R. Martin. I write things very slowly, maybe not quite that bad, but I write very slowly and deliberately. And I am used to editing, I am really bad about going back and editing while I'm writing. So it takes me a while, but usually I don't have to go through as many. Like my first draft is almost my final draft after I get back, beta and
Huh.
beta notes and things like that. I just have to kind of go in and tweak because I've already tweaked so much.
Yeah.
But I've completely lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that.
That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Beta
I've
reading
already
and
done
writing slow.
Yeah, I'm a slow, deliberate writer, and I like to especially research things. Like some people were talking about the free write and things like that, where you don't, or you turning your internet off to write, and I can't do that because I have to have the research there. Like if
Mm-hmm.
especially for language, like if I was writing something that was in like the 1400s or something, I was like, did they even have that word then? So
Right.
I'd have to go look it up.
Right. No, I get that. I think my favorite thing is doing weapon research.
Oh yeah.
And okay, when was this around? And making sure that it fits with,
Yeah, like the location and things like that and the culture. Yeah.
yeah, there is no reason to have machine guns back, in the 3rd century.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I tried it. It wasn't a time travel book. It was a story. It was, no, just kidding. But, you have to be, cognizant of, because somebody will find it, the types of spears, the types of metals, the types of, swords that are around at that time, whether or not they had guards or not. And, what the technology is. You kind of have to be, unless you're going to go on, way off the reservation. And, this is, before, man had to recreate itself or something like that, or it's a different world. I mean, and that's fine, but you have to kind of know what you're doing
Yeah.
as far as that goes. And having that internet, everybody says, oh, shut everything off. I'm with you. It's like, I need to Google shit when I read,
Yeah.
really, or when I
Totally.
write. I'm sorry. When I read too, big words scare me.
The thesaurus sitting out there.
Yeah. What the hell? Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Yeah. My 3rd grade vocabulary really helps me out in there. The one thing that we haven't hit on is you're a big Buffy fan.
Oh yeah, I am a huge
Oh,
Buffy fan.
Stranger Things and Harry Potter, but Buffy.
Yeah, Buffy was like, no, I wouldn't say it was my first love, but it was like my first big fan. I'm a huge participant in all kinds of fandoms, especially online. Because when I was a kid, we didn't have the internet. We didn't. I mean, my parents got America Online dial up when I was like 16, so I never even had like fast internet until I moved out when I was 18. And that was the first thing I did. I got some high speed internet, and I started participating in online communities and stuff, and I kind of
Which was
became
still dial up at that time, probably.
actually I had the cable at that time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but it would just like come out, so I'm dating myself, but it was it was nice to be able to get on there and talk with other people and especially people from around the world, about things that I love, like Buffy. And I used to write. That's one of the things that got me into writing. I wrote fan fiction for Buffy. I wrote. I made videos, like fan videos. I was all about, my whole entire room when I was a teenager was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There was no space on the walls. It was just posters. Like in between the big posters, there were little posters. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that was my life.
You know, and that's, Buffy was like really cool at the time. For me, it was, at least, just because you know, the chosen one, and you've got all these big bads and blah 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 blah, and then they ventured into all sorts of different types of fiction characters. You know, it wasn't just the vampires anymore. It was, you know, the ultimate big bad evil, and, you know, these demons, and that, and Charmed. I thought both of those were really well, you know, the writing was really good, I thought.
Yeah, the special effects sucked back then, but I still loved them.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, that's the way it always, I mean, I remember watching Westerns with my dad, you know, where they pull out the gun and you'd see the smoke and then it go, you know, it's got a bad Chinese movie or something like that, you know, and nowadays you get instant gratification with the bang, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I and that's fine. It's just technology for the time, but still the storylines are what always interests me, and they were awesome.
I agree. I'm still love almost anything that Joss Whedon puts out. Firefly, Dollhouse.
Oh, Firefly,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I've been just a fan of like everything like that.
You know, Firefly was kind of interesting because I watched it as it came out.
Mm-hmm.
God, what was that? Was that early? Was that like 2000, I think, or something like that?
I don't remember what year
it was
exactly, but
let's just put it was a hell of a long time ago. And it's like, oh, cool. This is like a Western in space. All right, you know.
And you get attached to it, and then
yeah, and then you know, I mean, I thought it was cool at the time, and it kind of ended. I mean, it just ended. I expected that one to be a little bit longer than it was. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, you look at Firefly and you're like, okay, one season, then a movie, okay, and then, you know, a little bit more, and then that's it, okay, you know. And then you look at something like Law and Order, which has been around for 42 years, and it's like, how the hell did that happen? Okay, it's the same damn thing every time. Two cops investigate, find the bad guy, then they prosecute him. Oh, let's watch this again, okay. You know, it's basically just a rerun, where Firefly was like pretty damn good writing.
And it was different than everything else that was on TV at the time too.
It was, and it, you know, it kind of brought me back to, you know, like spaghetti westerns when I used to watch those with my dad. You know, he was like a big, you know, Western fan and everything, and so am I. But, you know, it was kind of a new twist on that, and for me, it was new. You know, oh my God, this is like Western, you know, and I just watched, I just binged it probably 4 months ago. And what's funny is that, you know, even though it's, like I said, I think it's like 20 years old, maybe not.
I think it was like maybe 2002. It's almost 20 at least. It was 2002, 2003. It was a year before Buffy ended.
It's still damn good. You know, you see those young people, I mean, you know, those older actors now that were young then, and it's still good. You know, I almost think that's going to be one of those timeless fandom things that, you know, like Firefly, you have to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The good thing is now they've got some more novelizations that are coming out, and some of them, they're rumored that Nathan Fillion may be doing some of the audio for them, but I've got 3 of them so far, 3 of the hardbacks that tell like more stories that, you know, in that universe. So there's more content coming out for it because of the whole cult following that it got. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool. What's really funny is that, you know, I loved him in what was that? He was the author.
Castle. I love that too.
Castle. That was great. And he's now in a cop show.
The Rookie. I haven't watched it. I've seen it, but you know.
I don't think that guy really ever does just a shit episode. I think I like him for some reason. You know, his mannerisms or whatever, you know, he's not perfect, but screw it, I'm just going to do it. You know, and that's always kind of his, you know, acting style. But I mean, I'm a fan of his.
He does a good, he's a good, like, I don't want to say he's a good person because I don't know him, but he does a lot of charity work. He
Yeah.
actually does fundraisers for Kids Need to Read. And I've been involved with them, and I do a lot of different charity auctions and different things like that too. So, and that's one of the charities that we've worked with. And I just thought that was really nice of him to dedicate his time to do something like that. So,
I tell you what, everybody that I talk to that have never met him says he's a really nice guy.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. I don't know anybody that knows him. Like I said, anybody who's never met him says he's a really nice guy. So I'm sure he is, though. I mean, I can't imagine him any other way, or otherwise I couldn't watch him. But
Don't meet your heroes, they say. So let's just not.
Gibbs rule number whatever from my NCIS, which is another show that's been on for 42 years. But
Yeah.
anyway, in closing, I think we're running up on an hour here real quick. Anything you want to tell anybody? I think everything that we've covered has been really great for like new authors and anybody who's kind of struggling with stuff. And, just to know there's a place you can go to where you'd be treated honestly versus, the 1002 scams on Facebook where it's like, you want to be a millionaire author in 30 days? I know how to do that,
Yeah. That's what we try to do. We try to be honest with people, especially about their expectations of, what they're going to get from us, especially for like the prices that we're doing it. And, we try to work hard for people and get them results. And, we're on Facebook.
Yep.
We've got our website, fictionatlas.com, and you can find stuff there. And we're going to be running the newsletter. We've got a newsletter service, kind of like Bargain Booksy and things like that. We're going to be starting out with that paid next year. Right now it's in beta, so it's free. And so if you've got like something that's fantasy or sci-fi or any other subgenres, and it's 99 cents, or even if it's not even 99 cents, if it's on sale, if it's free in KU, we've been offering, posting that for free on our Facebook and for free on our Twitter, and we're building up audiences there. We're building up audiences into a newsletter. We're going to start sending weekly and then eventually daily newsletters. So we're trying to help authors out as much as we can, and we're going to price that newsletter service for cheap too. So it's probably not, some of these newsletter services are charging like $50 and $60. We're going to be more in like the $5 to $25 price range, especially as we first start out, so we can help you guys get the word out there when you have a sale or something. And or if you have something going into Kindle Unlimited or whatever. So
there's so many, I don't want to say scams, but there's a lot of places that have newsletter posts, and they have 14,000 people that follow them on Twitter and this and that, and for $60 you can get all this exposure or whatever.
Yeah.
And they will throw you in the damnedest things. You could be a horror writer and they're going to put you in a paranormal romance, or something that's completely out of genre, and those people aren't going to read your book because it's of no interest to them.
Exactly.
Because it's not targeted to that, and that's not what they expect to see there. And then there's some of those services that you pay them $30 and you have no idea if you even went out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places out there. I'm sure they all have good intentions, but I kind of look at them now, and when I first started out, I was like doing everything. It's like, oh, $50 here, $50 there, AMS ads, so on and so forth. It's like, holy shit, I spent a lot of money on that. But and I didn't get any benefit out of it. It'd be one thing if you ran a promotion and you saw a spike in sales, but there's a lot of times when you run those things and you're like, okay, I sold an extra 2 books. Is that because of them or just because
you got lucky that day? Yeah.
Yeah, they tripped over my book someplace on Amazon, or whatever. I don't know. It could have been my mom buying another set. Who knows? But like I said, I have a ton of respect for you, and I think that of all the people that I know that run these kind of services, you are the most respectable and honest and easiest to get a hold of. Like I said, I love your interactions. I stalk you sometimes. It's like, look at that. She's answering all these questions. Look at that. He's pissed off and she just like took care of that right away and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what else can you ask? I mean, not everything goes perfect, but damn it, you work hard at it. And that's what I appreciate about you.
Thank you.
So without any other further ado, I'm going to go ahead and call this done.
Okay.
All right. So this is Jeff Bacon with Courtney Cannon at DIY Writer podcast. And I'm really slow doing this because I don't have anything written out. So sorry about the unrehearsed closing. But if you wouldn't mind, subscribe or follow me on any podcast or YouTube medium or video medium that you happen to be watching this on or listening to it on. And I appreciate you listening. And I hope you have a great day and keep your chin up. Bye-bye.
Please hit the subscribe button. I get a bonus for every subscriber and I only need 1,506 more to become a full-time paid employee. Help me please.